This episode of Going Forward is brought to you by Optimizer, an award-winning PPC management tool used by advertisers worldwide. Save time and boost the performance of your PPC campaigns on Facebook, Amazon, and Google or Microsoft. Get a 14-day free trial at optimizer.com/go/VIP.
Go out and litigate. Don't try to micromanage our marketing. Your leads and your conversions are going to tell you how much cash you're going to get in 18 months. A firm can only grow to the limit of the founder. It can only grow as big as the number of decisions you can make in a day. If you're the only one that brings in cases, if you sell that firm, there are no more cases coming in. Every January, they would meet and they would come up with these great plans and they would document everything. And this is what's going to happen this year. And by the beginning of February, that would all be out the window and forgotten.
Welcome to Going Forward, where inspiring conversations with leaders and entrepreneurs shape tomorrow. Dive into the depths of their journeys, the hurdles they've overcome, and the insights they bring to the future. Let's get moving right here, right now on Going Forward.
What's up, Going Forward? This is Elliott, and I have Brooke Lively on the line. And, you know, Brooke, she was like throwing out some gems in the first half here, talking about, how to identify when you need to fix things within your law firms. And one of the things that we were starting to talk about was, we used to say sales cures all. Well, leads don't cure all. And she kind of gave the example of Walmart. And, if you're just tuning in, go back, listen to it, and pick it up and see exactly where we are now. But I want to jump right back into where we are. And we had a good conversation going, Brooke. And Brooke, I want to ask you, when does a law firm know they have a marketing problem, a sales intake problem, or an operations problem, which is even a bigger one? That's harder because the operations part, they always say it's not me, it's you.
Yeah. Everyone always says, not my problem, your problem.
Yeah, right.
So I wrote a book a few years ago called From Panic to Profit. And in there are a few things. It is all about data. It's about what are those numbers you should be looking at to make decisions in your firm.
Okay.
And I have a section on conversion rates. And you should be looking at your conversion rates.
Okay.
All the way through. And conversion rates come in stages. There conversion rates that, Eric, you look at, eyeballs to clicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clicks to whatever. At some point, the law firm takes over, and it is, a lead to an appointment.
Got it.
Appointment set. Appointment set to appointment show. So people are like, really? You track whether people show up for their initial consultation? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, why? I'm like, because sometimes that's broken. And I tell them, I happen to be in Pennsylvania right now at my best friend's house. And I had come up here to meet with a client one time, and I drive out to meet the client, and I go to the front door and it's locked. I'm like, uh-oh. Like, did I fly to Pennsylvania on the wrong day? Yeah. So I check my calendar. Yeah, I'm supposed to be here today. I check the address. Yeah, right address. Client sign out front. Like, okay, I check the door again. Still locked. Right time. What is going on? So I finally call, and they're like, oh, did we not tell you? You need to go around the side of the building. There's a staircase that goes down, and then there's an entrance downstairs on the side. I'm like,
damn.
No wonder your clients aren't showing up.
Damn.
They can't get in the damn building.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's a problem. But knowing your set to show rate will tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
How many of your, and you can put the qualified in there wherever you want, but what percentage of those clients are qualified? Again, back to, are you a PI attorney and everyone's calling for a divorce?
Mm-hmm.
I have so many firms that are like, oh, if they're calling about a divorce, I don't track them. You paid for them to call you.
Yeah. You get a referral.
Well, yeah, get a referral.
Yeah, get a
But
referral.
you paid your marketing company to send them to you.
Man.
If you're getting those, you need to be talking to your marketing company about them.
They're attracting the wrong people.
Why did I have 72 people calling me about getting a divorce this month and 37 calling me about personal injury? That's a problem.
Yeah.
And even if it's only 3, you still need to track it. So what percent are qualified? What percent convert in the room? And you want to check it, you want to track it not only by stage, but you want to track it by referral source. So you want to know how many people from you want to know all of those conversions for Facebook ads.
Yep.
You want to know it for PPC. You want to know it for referrals. I've tracked this before for clients and found that referrals have a very high, set rate, a very high show rate, and a very low qualified rate. Okay, well, that's really simple. You've got someone out there who loves you, but doesn't know what you do. That's an easy fix. Go back and explain what it is that you do to Joe Schmo so that he can send you the right people.
Yeah. Yeah, you bring up a great point. I talked about this to someone on another podcast. It's like a lot of these lawyers, like when you tell them like, hey, you need a referral budget. You need a referral budget to cultivate the people who've already been through your system that you've helped, who are happy and satisfied with you. What is your referral budget to target their family, their friends, and everything else? It's almost like the lawyers and the car dealers are exactly alike. I need new leads, new ups every day. It's like, what about the ones you got?
They're the cheapest and the best sources of new cases.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is true. So, you just kind of told them like, what kind of metrics they should look for. If a firm's getting leads but not converting them, where should the owner look at first? Should he go to his intake team and say, does he need to re-educate his intake team at that point?
It depends. Are they getting calls for divorces? You need to go to your marketing team. Do you have referral sources that are sending the wrong kinds of cases? You need to go talk to the referral source. Do you have people that are coming in that are ideal clients that aren't converting? Okay, now that looks like a sales problem. Now we need to talk to the intake team.
Yeah.
Now we need to be listening to their calls. Now we need to be putting their calls through AI. There are so many services available now that will go through, listen to sales calls and say, this is where the person went wrong.
Yes.
This is where they didn't show empathy. This is where they had them on the hook and they would have signed and they over-explained.
They lost the deal.
Yeah, this is where they lost the deal.
I want to ask the CFO side of you a question. Because people always say like numbers tell story. What numbers do most law firm owners avoid or even misunderstand or not even track closely?
All of them
that you've seen.
All of them?
Elaborate on that for me.
A lot of lawyers don't love numbers. That's why they all went to law school. They were promised no numbers. Really the numbers you want to be looking at are the ones that are going to tell you what's going to happen. you want to look at your leads, because your leads and your conversions are going to tell you how much cash you're going to get in 18 months. You want to look at how many demands were sent out, because your demands will tell you how much cash is going to come in.
Your pipeline.
In 12 months, right? Because we've got treatment time before we've got to finish treatment before we can send out the demand, the initial demands. You want to know how many cases are settled but not collected. You want to know where you are, where all your cases are in the pipeline. You want to know things like, how many cases do you have per attorney? Like, what's your inventory? Do you have 10,000 cases and 10 attorneys? Okay, I'm going to predict you got a problem.
Yeah.
Do you have 10 attorneys and 100 cases? I'm going to predict you also have a problem. Unless you are one of those firms that carries a very specific caseload of incredibly high value cases. You have to understand the relationship between your inventory and your capacity to work that inventory.
Yeah.
And you want the numbers that tell you what's going to happen. Am I going to have cash when I need it? Am I going to have the staff I need to work the cases when they're going to need to be worked? Am I going to be overstaffed and not have any cases? Am I going to have a cash crunch? Because you know what? The bank never wants to loan you money 24 hours before you can't make payroll. Totally happy to loan you money 8 months before you can't make payroll when you're flush with cash.
Yeah.
Because you know something they don't know.
Right.
And you don't really have to tell them. Don't overshare. Don't lie, but don't overshare.
Why do some firms feel like they're growing revenue, but they still feel broke?
Because they haven't balanced growing the revenue, buying new inventory, and working it. They are growing broke. Because their thirst for growth is a drain on the resources of the firm. And if they grew a little slower, they would feel some relief.
I agree with you on there. I've seen firms borrow money just to advertise and try and keep up with the market before. I've seen that before. And it never ends good. It never ends good. But why would they do that?
Sometimes they feel like they need to do it to keep going. Because if they don't have a pipeline of cases coming in, it's all going to end. And they're right. If you don't bring any more cases in 18 months, there is no firm. Inventory's gone. And it's going to be 18 months to start it up again.
Kind of like the firm I was telling you about in the beginning.
Yeah.
What should law firm owners understand about cash flow before they try and go to what they perceive as this next level? What should they understand about it?
They need to understand how much pressure a case puts on their firm. How much cash does it demand? How much staffing does it demand? They need to understand the capacity of their firm, how many cases it can handle, and at what point they have to add or subtract to that, and what the cost is. You know, and I'm totally making this up, every 200 cases means one attorney, one paralegal, one legal assistant. It means $500 a month in software. It means, this much in malpractice insurance. It means this much in parking, because I require everyone to come into the office every day and I have to pay for their parking thing. And it means this much in marketing. This is what it costs to support 200 cases. And I have to support 200 cases for 18 months before they start to pay off.
Yeah. Knowing your inventory. Got to know your inventory. You mentioned just now, requiring, parking, requiring people to come in. Do you see firms that are actually successful that are either, they're virtual or they are hybrid? I mean, does that matter anymore? Does it matter anymore? Because now people are signing up really through DocuSign now for some of these firms.
Yes.
You see them on TV, you get interested, you call. If the person on the other end of the intake is really good, they send you out their forms, you sign on, because back in the day, you used to always send out an investigator to the person. So, what is that like now? Is it?
Yeah, now you can send out a drone to check out the car in the impound lot that you never could talk your way into in the past.
Yeah.
It really comes down to the firm and the culture of the firm. There's some firms that like to be in person. There's some firms that they've never met half their people face to face.
Yeah.
There's a firm I know that it's really funny. It's hybrid. And yet people refuse to hot desk. So hot desking is where you've got stations, you've got desks, and you just grab any desk that's available.
Like a bank.
Yeah. And they were like, no. I want my own office. I don't want to come in every day, but I want my own office. I don't want anybody else in my office. I want to be able to keep stuff in my office. And the owner's like, look, guys.
Yeah.
We don't need that much floor space. If really on Fridays, we only have one paralegal in the office. And any other day, we only have, 15 or 20% of the firm in. And they're like, no. So, it's individual to every firm. Some firms are totally fine hot desking it.
Have you seen firms be successful? Being even, with these satellite offices, the hot desking. Now, do you see them successful? And I guess in order to be able to do that, you gotta have a system.
There has to be a, law firm way. You've got to have one way of getting things done, especially now that so much more is being done remotely. It really helps to have things done one way because work is no longer done in one location.
Yeah.
Especially with my firms that have multiple offices, work doesn't stay within just the Tacoma office or just the Raleigh office. It gets sent to the office where there's capacity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, that's true. Even media companies are consolidating that way. They don't have a whole lot of things in their home city anymore. Things are done at a hub now is how they're done. That's great. In your book, Scaling Law, focuses on helping law firms implement EOS, specifically within unique realities of the legal business. And I want to ask you, are there times when you are hired to be a CFO or a fractional CFO and you feel the need to say, I need to introduce the other side of what I do. Does that happen to you a lot? You're like, damn, I'm
Yeah.
here for CFO stuff, but I need to get into the, open up EOS into this place. Does that happen to you often?
It's funny. So I don't run my CFO company anymore.
Mhm.
My COO, otherwise known as my integrator.
Mhm.
So our integrator is awesome. Her name is Pam. And there are times when Pam and I get on the phone and we'll talk about a client and we'll say, where will this person benefit more?
Yeah.
Will they get more out of EOS right now, or will they get more out of CFO services right now?
Mhm.
And it's just looking at the firm and looking at what their needs are and what's happening to figure out where they would get the most bang for their buck.
So we'll take a break and we will be right back. Okay.
Hold tight, listeners. We're taking a brief pause. Going forward, we'll be back shortly with more insightful conversations.
If your company feels like chaos and finding anything is like solving a mystery, get Trainual, the app that turns all your scattered company knowledge into an organized playbook, where every employee question has an answer, just a simple search away. Where all of your processes and policies are documented, roles and responsibilities are defined, and delegating anything is as easy as drag and drop. Trainual, it's how you get your operations under control and how you deliver the ultimate onboarding and training experience.
Running your law firm is a serious business. When you actually got out of law school, they didn't teach you how to market your business, or they didn't teach you exactly the business of running a law firm. And that's what we do. We want to be able to come in and work with you and your firm so that, one, you can start marketing your firm correctly, coach you on how to get to the next level and where you want to get your law firm. And most importantly, we don't want you to be one of those law firms who are a laughing stock of the community. Don't hire a marketing agency that's going to make you look like a buffoon online or social media and try and make you to be something that you are not. It's time for you to start running your firm the right way. Go to VIPmarketing.com.
Welcome back to Going Forward. We hope you're recharged because we've got an exciting second half waiting for you. Get ready to dive deeper and be inspired. Let's keep the momentum going.
Why does a firm need a system like EOS?
Oh, let's see. Let's start with the first one.
Mhm.
When they have a really ambitious leader
Mm.
who has a new idea every 12 seconds. So I was at a conference and we were all talking and someone was like, ugh, my team hates it when I come to these things. So I come back with 14 ideas and, I tell them to go implement them and they haven't implemented the 14 ideas from the last conference I went to.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I resemble that remark. EOS fixes that. EOS sits down and says, okay, where are you going? How are we going to get there? What are the things that we need to get done? What are the biggest issues we need to solve?
Mm-hmm.
Quit looking at all the shiny shit.
I agree.
Put it on a list. We'll talk about it, but we're not going to go chase it today.
Agreed.
And when you do that, I've talked to that. So I was working with a firm in South Carolina, and I actually write about them in the book.
Oh, we got to talk about this offline, sister.
Well, he was talking about, every January they would meet and they would come up with these great plans and they would document everything. And this is what's going to happen this year. And by the beginning of February, that would all be out the window and forgotten.
Wow.
Because all kinds of other stuff would come up, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, how often has that happened? So often, all the stinking time. And instead, with EOS, we come up with that one plan and we stick to it. And he's like, and shit gets done.
Wow.
Yes, those projects get completed. And look, it's May. And some of the projects for the year are already finished. Like, we've done the whole project already.
Mhm.
He's like, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Is it harder to implement? Let me see if I'm saying this. What makes it different to implement EOS within a law firm versus another business? What makes it different?
Um, let's see what makes it different. I think the distributed ownership can make it different.
Good point.
So, the partners. Um, when we look at an accountability chart, normally you've got the CEO, the COO, and then kind of the heads of the departments.
Mm-hmm.
We call the CEO the visionary. They're
Yep.
usually the founder, the person that's like I said, that has 14 ideas every 12 seconds.
Yeah.
The COO. Mhm. Yeah, mhm. Okay. The COO is that person that really gets stuff done,
Mhm.
that keeps you on the straight and narrow, that's all about execution. We call that person the integrator.
Mhm.
And then the heads of all the departments. In a law firm, you have another box that I actually put above all of those. And that's the owner's box. And that's where all the partners go. Now, a partner might also sit in the visionary box,
Mhm.
or the integrator box, or in the head of a department box.
Yeah.
Or maybe that partner doesn't sit anywhere on the leadership team.
Yeah.
But that owner's box is really like a non-operating board of directors. They get reports. They see what's going on in the firm. They make sure the firm is going in a positive direction. If they really dislike the leadership team, they can vote them out. But they're really just there to make sure that things are going well. They're non-operational.
Mhm.
And that makes a big difference. That is very hard for a lot of partners, because I own this, I'm in charge.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Really? Do you have the skill set to be in charge? No. You have the skill set to be an awesome rainmaker.
Yeah.
Go out there and get cases. You have the skill set to be an incredible litigator. Go out and litigate. Don't try to micromanage our marketing, because
Oh,
that's not your skill set.
I've seen that. That's not the area of genius.
It's
Not the area
not.
of genius.
Go work in your zone of genius.
Wow. Why do smart law firm owners still struggle to execute consistently? Because I mean, like you just nailed it, like with the owner's box, but I still feel like some of them they struggle with executing consistently. Like you said, hey, ideas are full in January, February, everything's out the window onto another thing, you know?
I think it's a couple of things. Law school teaches attorneys not to delegate. It teaches attorneys to be control freaks.
Hmm.
Everything has to be right. Lawyering, they're taught, is a solo sport. If you think about it, in law school, when you get called on and that professor goes after you in this Socratic method, there is no one there to save you. It is you versus the professor.
Right.
Think about the bar exam. That is 3 days
Of you.
of you. There is no help. This is not a team sport. And then you do all of that. And what you're told is, if there is any mistake anywhere, it is your law license. So why in the world do these people want to delegate and trust others?
Yeah. When they're on the line, always.
They're on the line. This is an individual sport. So it is hard to break that. And that is where the systems come in. That is where having policies and procedures protect you. And that's where it gives you the ability to scale, because otherwise a firm can only grow to the limit of the founder. It can only grow as big as the number of decisions you can make in a day, the number of documents you can proof or draft or finish. But I mean, a firm grows to the limit of your capacity.
Yeah. I always give Ryan Dice credit for saying this. He says, the more valuable you are to your business, the less valuable your business is.
That's right.
And
your job is to work yourself out of a job.
True. How do systems create value in a law firm? And then I got one more question. I know I've kept you, but like I could squeeze your mind for all this stuff all day long, Brooke.
So I wrote a book 2 years ago called Exit on Top. And it is all about, what's going on right now in the world with law firm consolidation, buying firms, selling firms, how you value a firm. Sorry. And basically what it comes down to is where you are necessary, anywhere that you are necessary lowers the value of your firm. Everywhere you can work yourself out. If it is Brooke Lively Inc. and your name and your image is on every billboard, it's hard to sell yourself.
Yep. I know a firm in that position right now. It's been acquired, and it's difficult because this figure was massive for years, and now it's been acquired, and now it's like, okay, what do we do with this thing?
It's a lot of time and money to rebrand.
Yeah, what do we do with this thing? And it's bigger than changing a color or a logo, because there's been a generation that's grown up seeing this brand, and now that it's a different brand and it's the face is no longer there. What do you do with it?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you're the only one that brings in cases, if you sell that firm, there are no more cases coming in. Who wants to buy that?
Yeah.
If you're the only one who knows how to work a case, who wants to buy that? Because it means that the new owner is going to have to be the only one who works the cases.
Wow.
So I had a client that, I'm not going to say it was a bait and switch situation, but turns out she didn't buy exactly what she thought she was buying.
Yeah.
She thought she was buying a firm that was not dependent upon the owner, because the owner said she only worked a few weeks a month, which might have been true, but it turns out that the law firm only worked a couple of weeks a month, basically when she was in the office. And it cost my client $500,000 to turn the firm around, because she already had a $20 million firm that she was running in another state. And when she bought this, she couldn't go be there every single day.
Yeah.
To turn it around.
Yeah.
So it took her a long time. If you are doing it, that means that the new owner is going to have to come in and do it. My
That's true.
client could not go in and do everything every day. She was in Arizona, not Georgia.
Yeah.
So that was a problem. She thought she was buying something totally self-sustainable.
What makes a law firm more attractive to a buyer or a successor, in your opinion?
Turnkey. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to change the brand. I've got a good, stable team that's going to stay. The processes are written down so that if someone leaves, they don't take all the tribal knowledge with them.
Yep.
Marketing comes from like no marketing or no lead source represents more than 20% of marketing. I had a client and it was something like 90%, 95% of her leads came from TikTok. TikTok turned her off for a month.
Whew.
And we had been talking to her for months and months and months and months about the fact that she needed marketing.
Yeah.
She needed other marketing sources.
Wow.
She got busy that month. She got other marketing sources. But, if more than 20% of your cases are coming from one source, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
Because you're really vulnerable there.
Wow.
Where is the risk in your firm? And how much of that risk is you?
I think you just dropped the mic, Brooke. You just dropped the mic. You just dropped the mic.
And that's what EOS is all about. EOS is all about taking that risk and distributing it. EOS is all about creating a system where the owner is not the linchpin.
So now, when doing this, I want to ask you, because there's going to be people who are probably going to ask, do they buy a book, implement themselves, or do they hire someone like you to help them implement? What does that look like, the implementation process? Because they always want to know, how long do I need to buy a new software? What do I do there?
The answer is yes. You can buy a book and implement it yourself. You can hire an implementer to help you. A lot of it depends upon the size of your firm and how fast you want to move.
Mm-hmm.
I started implementing at my CFO company when we were 4 people. Did we have an implementer? Oh God, no. We were 4 stinking people. It worked really well. And then there came a day where we had grown and it wasn't working well. We had hit a ceiling. I emailed Gino Wickman. He's written quotes for some of my books.
Yep. He actually coaches Mike Morse too.
Yep.
Yep.
And Gino created EOS. And so I sent him this email. Poor guy, if he had printed it out, it would have been like 17 pages long. And he's like, Brooke, it would take me all day just to figure out what was in that email. I'm like, game on, Gino, how much? He's like, haha, nice try. You need an implementer. Answer these questions and I'll give you somebody. Like, damn. So he did. He gave us a great implementer. We stayed with that implementer for 6 years,
Wow.
which is not normal. But I have a hard time running a meeting and participating in a meeting at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was totally happy to pay Justin to run the meetings for us. When you hire an implementer, most implementers stick around for about 2 years. Their job is to teach you the skills for you to go do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Can you go buy Traction, the book Traction, and self-implement? Absolutely. It's what I did. You can go buy my book, Scaling Law, and it tells you what it's like to implement it in a law firm. It's a great companion to traction. I am launching EOS has allowed me to start the first ever EOS affinity group.
That is awesome.
So at the end of the summer, we will be launching a scaling law community where you can get together with other people who are implementing scaling law who are implementing EOS in their law firm, whether they're self-implementing or working with an implementer. There will be videos in there to help you hone your skills. We will have webinars, whether it's interesting people or, implementers coming in to teach you things. But it'll just be a place for law firms running on EOS.
I love it.
So there are a lot of resources out there for you, whether you want to do it on your own or you want to do it with help. And there are a lot of different help options, but going to scalinglaw.com is a great place to start.
So let's do this, Brooke. I want to make sure people get an opportunity to connect you, find you. I know scalinglaw.com, and I'm going to order my book, and I'm hoping I can get it signed by you.
I think we can probably make that happen.
And, how else do they find you, Brooke? Tell me how people can find you.
I think scalinglaw.com is great. We're on all the social medias. And then my email is brooke@scalinglaw.com.
I want to tell you, Brooke, you are one guest that I feel like I can pick your brain all day, and we can educate this audience a ton. And I want to definitely invite you back in some time, because I feel like there's so much more that we can go on. And to our going forward audience, especially the law firms out there, make sure you find Brooke Lively. Talk about a wealth of information. I couldn't even get through all the things that I wanted to ask you because there's so much good stuff. But I really thank you for giving us your most valuable asset, to our going forward listeners, giving us your time, to our incredible guests, Ms. Brooke Lively. You are just wonderful. We're going to make sure we tag Brooke in all the socials that we can, and lead you guys to Brooke as well. So thank you again, Going Forward Nation. Brooke, I want you to hold the line for me. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Eric.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to rate our podcast and share it with a friend. Every share, every comment, every rating propels us forward. For more content, insights, and updates, visit ericelliott.com. Remember, your journey, your story is what keeps us going forward. Until next time.